This video is going to show you how to build a duffel sail bag kit. Sailrite sells these as complete kits with written instructions. Here's the fabric that comes with your kit.
You can take this and use the whole thing for the bag. You can do that, you can make it smaller, or you can just use the whole thing. We're just going to use the whole thing today.
There are suggestions on the instructions for cutting down your bag to size. We suggest that you think this through and decide what size bag you want and then cut it to size.
Fold that over and stitch it down, and then we're going to make our top hem out of it.
This will be the top of the bag or the sleeve for the leech line.
1 inch. Take your corner right directly straight in and then fold that over.
The written instructions show cutting off this corner, then creating the fold. It doesn't have to be done that way. It can be done like is shown here in the video. After sewing a straight stitch on this corner, now do it to the second corner. Since we didn't cut this bag down to size, this is going to be a huge bag. Jeff in the background is turning on the vacuum table for our plotter system where he's going to plot sail kits.
This will be the top of your bag where we made the small hem. So then put the good side of this hem down, put the fold up.
So the inside of the bag is facing up.
Probably the easiest way to do this is to have your leech line in here as you make your fold. That way you don't have to worry about fishing it in there. And what I do is put a 1/2 inch hem here, 1/2 inch hem. And you want to make sure you push your leech line up out of the way. I'm sorry, 2 inch hem, 2 inch hem.
We do apologize for the plotter noise in the background. Now Deb's got that 2 inch hem at the top with the leech line sandwiched.
It should come out close to where the bottom of the fold is. Even this way. Just start sewing right there on the bottom of the fold. Come like straight across.
You'll notice Deb doing a little bit of reversing to lock the stitch in place. Deb's going to fold this hem as she sews. You may want to opt to use double-sided tape or staples or pins to hold it in place.
You can use basting tape and measure all this if you want to be more precise.
Then she'll sew down the length of the top of the bag. While Deb sews down this length, let's take a look at all that noise in the background. This is our 50-foot plotter table, and you can see Jeff here keeping an eye on the plotter. This is a brand new plotter system for 2009, and as you can see, we're cutting a Dacron sail out. He's just removed the pin system and checking on the blade system that cuts the actual panels out and designs the shape as it plots.
You want to face the right side of your bag toward each other so that you got your hem, which is the inside of your bag, both laying up.
So the inside of the bag is facing out.
This time you want to make sure that you anchor your line so that it doesn't scoop up into your little pocket that you've made. Okay, we're going to put the little barrel lock on the end of here to keep it down, sliding up into the hem. And what I like to do with these are have the hot knife and put them at an angle.
In lieu of a hot knife, you can use a wood-burning tool, a soldering iron, a match, or a lighter, or even an electric kitchen top stove.
If you're going to cut them at an angle, then you can get them into the barrel lock. I found a lot easier. And you can just push it right down onto the table, which will open that lock. Push down, opens the opening for our rope. Like I said, if it's too hard for you to pinch it, push it down on the table, push your lines through. Now, take this, put a knot in the end of it. It'll keep it from coming out of your barrel lock, and we're going to sew down the side seams here. This up on your line.
Yay, Jeff's done plotting.
A little bit easier to sew your side seams. And you just take these together where your lines are coming out, because that'll be your openings on the outside of the bag. Take you a 1/2 inch seam down the side.
Deb's placing this straight stitch a 1/2 inch from the raw edge of the fabric. And when she gets the other end, she does some reversing to lock the stitch in place.
And then you can either run a zigzag stitch along the edge here, or you can just run another straight stitch seam to keep it from fraying. Just run it a little bit closer to the outside edge. Okay, and then we're going to go across the bottom in the same way that we just did the side seam.
Exactly the same procedure.
Okay, you can make your corners any size you want, but 5 inches usually gives you a pretty good size bag here. And that's usually what measurements we use on the medium one. So you just want to kind of measure up here, 5 inches.
Obviously, the larger you go, the bigger the bottom of the bag will be. So this is totally random. You can do whatever you like.
And just strike you a line. And do the same on this corner. Okay, now you're ready to do your corner. What you want to do is just, and you can draw your squares on both sides if it makes it easier for you. But as you can see, if you just take this, fold it in half here, and that runs up through the center, the corner of the square that you made on the back will now be the bottom. So you just take this, sew right straight across where your line's at there.
When sewing across this, just be sure that you're not sewing extra flaps of fabric on the bottom side. You'll notice here she looks to make sure that there's no extra fabric there.
Here.
And we'll do the same thing to this corner.
Okay. Now if you want, you can fold these in here and sew them right onto this seam here in the center. Putting your foot here and back tacking and sewing across, or you can just leave them loose like this, or you can make another row of stitches and cut the rest of it off. If you want to sew them down, you need to turn your bag.
We're turning the bag so the right side is facing out.
Here's the bottom of your bag. And see, the wider the squares that you make, the bigger the depth of the bag gets, but also the shorter it gets. Okay, now we've seen the bottom of the bag and how big it is. I'm going to show you how to sew the bottom down. We want to go inside of the bag.
This step is not necessary, but it's a good idea.
We'll find your points again here. So you just lay those down straight with your seam, the seam. And you'll see there's a triangle shape in there. And what you want to do is start back in here, back tack, and sew through. You can sew all the way through the bag.
As you can hear, Jeff is plotting again in the background. That's the vacuum table you hear.
Make sure to feel, make sure that that's pulled out all the way here. And then you can feel the seam and just sit right down in the middle of the triangle. So back tack it there. And then just lay this right down on the seam. Go right across into it.
The only thing you want to be careful is not to sew any excess material on the bottom side.
Make sure that it's spread apart. And then you have your other end here. And you just flip that forward. And again, you want to make sure that it's laying flat inside here. Hold this taut, lay this down, backpack over it, up to the end of it, backpack, and you're done. And the bottom of your bag inside here is laying flat, anchored down now by the bottom. That's what the bottom will look like, just as it's like top here.
The Duffle sail bag kit is now complete and ready for you to use. Thanks again for watching. I'm Eric Grant with Sailrite.